completely fucked up.
Hey everybody, Destination Truth here for another video. It's time. You need to open your eyes to cryptocurrency. If you don't already know, it is honestly approaching the point where you might be wanting to ask yourself, is it too late to get into cryptocurrency? Is it basically just too expensive for it to be worth it? For example, like buying gold. It's a commodity that holds value, yes. That's great about it, and if the currency that you use, being the dollar most likely, or the Canadian dollar maybe, then the value of gold will become extremely valuable and worth every penny you spent on it if your currency collapses, which is, some speculate that is a real possibility. Personally, I don't believe even the globalists are so dumb to destroy everything they've created. Yes, they want to kill lots of people, but I think they'd rather do that through disease, eugenics being, vaccines and man-made diseases. I haven't made videos on all of these things that I'm talking about, but, there are man-made diseases. Zika virus, AIDS, there's a lot of evidence out there, and I'm particularly leaning towards the side that believes that there has to be at least some human involvement, it seems. Nonetheless, I digress. Back to cryptocurrency. If you want to protect yourself and your assets from the collapse of the dollar or whatever currency you use, or the economy, like for example, cryptocurrency is really helping those in Venezuela protect their assets because Venezuela is falling apart because of idiots that believe socialism worked. I'm really unapologetic about those who believe in lazy thinking. Basically, anyone who believes at all whatsoever in communism or socialism, lazy thinkers don't do any research on history. And if you did, you'd know that socialism and communism doesn't work, and it almost always leads to insane atrocities and violations of human rights. Okay, that's simple. Now, a lot of experts and politicians around the world keep coming out and saying we're actually closer to a World War III and to serious civil unrest or financial crisis yet again. This is not the video that I'm going to go into detail about it, but there's an exodus of currency coming out of China because there are strict laws that require the Chinese to basically keep their money in China. It becomes very difficult for the Chinese to get their money outside of China. So they find tricks to do it. If you live on the west coast of either Canada or the United States, particularly Vancouver and San Francisco are impacted greatly, and if you live in either of these areas, I mean, you will see tons of these teenagers that look like they're 18 to 21 driving Maseratis, Lamborghinis, Porsches, and you're just like, the hell? Like, what are these kids driving these cars for? Like, this is insane. The truth is, it's very strategic. I mean, very wealthy Chinese, the elites in China realize that there's a huge real estate bubble in China, a huge one, and it's going to hurt them massively in the near future. And so they're trying to get a lot of their assets, whether that's just their money or other assets, but particularly just money in general. They're trying to move that capital out of China, and the way they do it is often through families. So they will send their children to other countries to be educated, and in the meantime, they will have those kids actually start trying to get citizenship right away or a green card. So those kids can buy houses, set down some roots, and buy awesome cars, so that if anything happens, the Chinese elites can get on their private jets, which, if you don't know, there's private companies that sell private jets in China, and that market is exploding right now, and that's because private jets do provide the most security to any individuals on the planet when it comes to civil unrest and crises. It gets you out. That is your way out of anything. And so they're buying up these planes, and they're buying up properties all over the world so that if they need to, they can leave. Okay, so that I tell you all of that just so you understand that there is a serious problem with the financial uh, with finance internationally. Okay, so to protect yourself, you really need to be investing in cryptocurrency. Now, I just want to give a disclaimer and say I'm not an expert in trading. I am not a trader at all. I am an investor, so I've invested just a small amount of my money so far, but I honestly want to say that I unfortunately feel as though I have largely missed the boat. If I had been able to invest just another extra, I don't know, $500, it would have made a huge difference. I'm trying to get into it basically late in the game. Um, you know, if you don't already know, Bitcoin is trading at nearly $2,000. Today, at some point, it was at $1,800 per Bitcoin, which is way over the value of gold per ounce. Okay, this is insane. This is actually world history. The mainstream media don't want you to know about it, so they're not reporting on it, so I am. Now, if they were reporting on it, they'd probably tell you what I'm about to tell you, which is, wow, that's insane, but that doesn't mean you should buy it, at least not right now. I definitely don't think you should be buying it right now, because if you don't already know, again, it is just exploding in value. Let me show you. Coinbase is the #1 platform that I think if you're looking to invest, you should actually get an account on. It's very easy to use and to get into, basically. But look, this is the value of Bitcoin over all time. Okay, now the trend, I'm not going to point out the trends that a lot of people will talk about that are on the short run, because again, I'm not a trader, so don't come to me for trading advice, but I will say if you're an investor, every time you get a huge spike, so this is way back in 2013 when it was basically worthless in the beginning, and people were thinking, oh man, is this real money? Is it real? I mean, this is expensive already. It was relatively expensive, hovering around $100 for quite a few months here. And then it just exploded overnight in December. Got all the way up to $1,000. And then slowly over time came down. Okay, and that's because people were realizing it's not coming back up, so people just continually sold what they had. And of course, there were some issues with hacks and such, which also depreciated its value because of confidence lowering. So slowly over time, it's been hurting, but people have been working to pass new laws and such that make it more easily usable. And again, this cryptocurrency is a way to protect yourself against government mandated requirements on how you use your money, basically. Trust me, I mean, the government has and will always have the ability to do basically anything it wants with you because you are its subject, basically. You are a wage slave at the end of the day, in my opinion. Just to remind you, way back, was it the 1880s or 1870s? I forget when, but the U.S. government at one point actually mandated everybody to trade in non-sentimental valued gold pieces. Everyone had to. It was actually required. If you're found to have gold that you weren't wearing on your finger for a marriage band, you could actually be fined for having not traded in your gold. So it's been done. I mean, if you just don't know history, then no offense, I'm just gonna say I told you so, because you got to know your history. If you don't know your history, you're always flying blind. Anyways, okay. So again, this is Bitcoin. So I just want to draw attention to what's happening more recently. Let's look at the last month. Over the last several days, it's basically just been taking off steadily. I mean, this is astronomical growth. This is insane. In just 1 week, you see, again, just insane growth. Can't believe that it was actually trading. Coinbase is very conservative in its values. If we go over to another platform like Kraken, you'll see different value for it. Actually, let me show you something I just installed today because I'm getting ready to start trading in more different kinds of currencies. This is called Exodus. I didn't think I was going to need it, but wow, I love this platform. I love the program, how it works. It seems really awesome, really. It allows you to exchange between currencies. So if you're going to become a trader, this is the platform to use because it easily allows you to transfer US dollars or actually, you need to have cryptocurrency already, basically, to use it, but it lets you transfer one cryptocurrency to another. Bitcoin to Dash, Dash to Golem, Litecoin, etc., etc. I'm not going to give much advice. Again, I'm basically just saying this last week's been historic. Bitcoin's been soaring up to about 2,000 or at least $1,800 per Bitcoin, and I think it's actually gonna come back down soon and correct itself. But it's gonna correct itself at a much higher value than it's ever been in the past, which it's always done. So I want to again draw attention to going back to all-time prices of Bitcoin. Every time it spikes like this, basically, you've noticed it establishes a new norm. Even if it's slowly, in the beginning of Bitcoin, I mean, it had some troubles. But as of, let's say, 2015, every time it spikes, it's basically corrected itself, but created a new norm, which was higher than it was before. So like this spike in June 2016, I mean, after that spike, it didn't come back down to $400-ish, which it was trading at before. It stayed at about 500. It has never gone below 500 since. I got into Bitcoin when it was at about 1,100 in, I believe, was that just March? Yeah. So I haven't been into cryptocurrency very long, guys. So again, I'm not an expert, but after this spike over the last many days, it's just astronomical growth. It cannot be ignored, and it doesn't care what you think about it. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are real. Their value is very real, and they're just going to keep climbing. I'm not a fan of Ethereum because Ethereum sounds a lot like the cryptocurrency of the banks. So big banks want to use Ethereum, and I want to have all of my assets away from the banks, because if they can be manipulated by governments, then so can any assets they have. So I really don't want to be invested in them personally. A lot of people say it is the cryptocurrency to invest in because it's going to shoot up in value when other, like the big banks, start investing in it. That might be true. So maybe there's some money to be made there. Litecoin is like silver compared to Bitcoin being gold, kind of. It's always going to be kind of shadowing what Bitcoin does. You can see a little bit of resemblance to what they're doing, basically, but nonetheless, you can see all three of these currencies just shooting up in value. It's just really astronomical growth. It's really interesting. Anyways, guys, I just want you to protect yourselves against globalist agendas. And most importantly, just this potential real estate bubble in China that could create ripples of economic collapse all over the world. Don't fool yourself. China, financially, China's market is just essential to the whole world right now, just as much as America is, in my opinion. So if they lose a lot of value in their currency, then the dollar will need to do the same. Basically, we'll have to have an economic collapse in order to be able to afford their goods. Otherwise, if our dollar is just too valuable, they just won't really be able to do business with us. So that's how it works, is everyone's connected. There is a global currency, and according to the evil elites, there already is a global government, which I don't support. Globalism is evil. You got to protect yourself, guys. Lastly, in fact, I'm so convinced that we're heading towards some rough waters in the future that because I've been thinking about like how do you protect yourself, I've actually just started getting these guys. Pardon my messy room, but I just got 4 of these guys. These are 5 gallons of water. I just got 4 of them. I live in the freaking city, guys, so, you know, I really don't have a ton of space. You know, I'm not a prepper. I'm really not. But I want to be. I want to be prepared. But basically my plan A is to get out to my parents' house outside of the city where they have, you know, guns, a well, all this stuff that will protect them from that kind of stuff. So anyways, guys, make sure and have a plan. This is the first time I think I've made a video on preparing for this stuff. I've been researching it for months and months. It's nothing new to me, but I don't think I've really made a video about just preparing yourself, because the future looks a little bleak right now. Yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Have a great night. And really, when the cryptocurrency market starts fixing itself, again, don't buy in now, but once it starts fixing itself, that's when you get in, because in another month to 6 months, it's going to go up again quite a bit. And I heavily suggest investing. Don't use don't use a real bank as a savings account, because of depreciation. You are literally paying the bank to hold your money. Like, their interest they give you is less than 1%. And if you don't already know, depreciation is about 2% per year. So your dollar is diminishing about 2% of its value, about 2 cents every single year. So if they're not paying you at least 2% in interest, you are losing money. You're paying them to hold your money. There are very, very small fees for doing transactions with cryptocurrency. Sometimes none. Okay. And just to hold your money in these wallets, these digital wallets, is free. Obviously, they don't charge you a damn thing. But they're, instead of getting interest, you actually get way more than that, because the thing you're holding is basically a commodity, and it just keeps getting more and more valuable. It doesn't lose value; it just gets more and more valuable. Last thing, there are quite a few experts out there, guys, that's saying by the end of 2020. Bitcoin, this might sound like a stretch, guys, but Bitcoin could be trading at as high as $10,000, 10K. You heard me right, 10K. So if you see the spike it's doing right now, Bitcoin, and you're like, wow, I never want to get into that. It's, I missed the ship, I missed the boat. Don't think that. It's gonna keep going up, guys. I'm serious. All right, so I don't want to bore you guys, but definitely, if you want to get into cryptocurrencies, I suggest starting with making an account on Coinbase, then get an Exodus and a Kraken account. Those are my 3 platforms I use, and I recommend them. Anyways, have a good night, folks.
I'm just getting warmed up. This is Von Clausewitz shit. Total fucking war. I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.